Hello, everybody. This is Tijan Jenko. I am Master Certified Coach and Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach. I am here with 4 wonderful coaches and my workshop participants. We are recording this in August 18, 2023. And I had a workshop in July for 5 steps to Jenko Method Resilience. And these wonderful ladies participated in that. And we're just going to have a dialogue about their experience on that. So why don't we get started with you all introducing yourselves to the audience. Let's start with you, Lisa. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Tijan. Lisa Horn here, and I am a life coach that really specializes in my clients that are going through a major transition, such as a divorce or gender transition, but I also specialize in career transition and career development.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lisa. Natalie?
Hi, I'm Natalie Vinokura. I'm a health and wellness coach and also a pain reprocessing coach. So I work with people with chronic pain and other mind-body symptoms. I use methods that approaches pain from different angles, including physical, psychological, and emotional aspects.
Beautiful. Thank you, Natalie. Cynthia?
Hi, I'm Cynthia Late. I'm a life coach. I actually work in a corporate environment where I coach clients mostly around career, but really I love coaching women who are stuck and trying to find clarity and bring all of themselves to their career and making decisions based on that. I also have a private practice, and I'm learning a lot working with Tijen.
Oh, thank you, Cynthia. Beautiful. And Gabby?
Hi, everybody. My name is Gabriela Zavala, and I'm a life and career coach. And I really strive to help ambitious Latinos really land their dream career. And then I also help them design the life that they deserve. So thank you for having me. And I'm also a Tijan student, and very grateful to be here and with all you ladies.
Beautiful. Thank you, Gabby. So you can see all these wonderful and diverse backgrounds. So why don't we get started with what made you sign up for the Jenko Method 5 Steps to Resilience workshop? Let's start with you, Natalie.
Oh, well, so for me, it was primarily deep curiosity because I'm very much kind of involved in neuroscience behind the mind-body symptoms. And that research has shown how the emotions and maybe suppressed emotions and life experiences connected to the physical symptoms, what variety of mind-body symptoms. It could be chronic pain, depression, anxiety, GI issues. So I was very curious, and I wanted to use my own kind of be myself as a guinea pig, because we all have life stories. So I was wondering how my life story, how can I process that life story? What it's gonna show me? What it's gonna bring it out from me? So that was the curiosity.
Beautiful. Thank you, Natalie. Cynthia?
So I actually was a little surprised by the course because I in my day job, I lead change management. So I'm trying to teach a lot of my colleagues about resilience. And then when I signed up for it, it asked me, what are you working on? And I thought, oh, I have to work on something. So, but I found it to be so transformational. I brought an old issue that I've been working with for a long time, and I just pleasantly surprised. So like Natalie, I was a guinea pig, so I got to experience it for myself, but I also saw the benefit that I could share with my colleagues, both my clients who tend to be stuck in something, and you find something, you hang on to it. This is why this is happening, and I'm stuck. So this is a great way of releasing that stuckness.
Beautiful. So your intent also was to share with others.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And Gabby?
I actually talked to one of your students, and they told me that the course was transformational for them. And so I thought, oh, I'm very curious. And then 2, I have my own definition of what resilience is. And typically, like in mainstream society, I think it's looked more upon like, you go through something and you kind of just get over it, right? And so
Yeah.
for me, I really wanted to learn your approach. And so it was phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a tough road, but at the end of the course, it transformed my life and my view of my own narrative.
Thank you for bringing something forward, Gabby. Before I go to this, I want to mention that the reason I developed this approach was that I was noticing the idea of getting over it wasn't happening. That, as Natalie was mentioning before, that the residuals and emotions and all that was resident. And when we talked about getting over it, we were just not necessarily relating to that part. And my approach was to welcome it and rekindle with it. And we're going to talk about more. Stay tuned. Lisa, so what do you want to share?
Yeah, hi. So Tijen, as you know, I first got introduced to you through the ICF programs that were recently held. You had several workshops and I attended, and your approach really resonated with me, as specifically, resilience, finding resilience in adversity, right? And I felt like adversity is something that we all deal with. So I really wanted to know more about your methodology and bring that tool set back to my clients and able to provide them with next level coaching and success.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lisa. And this time I am going to ask that how was the adversity, which like a nice segue that Lisa brought us in here, was impacting you before the workshop. So what would you like our audience to know about that, Cynthia?
So, for me, the adversity is something that I've carried since childhood, and I've been to therapy, and sometimes I think I'm over it, but it's just kind of this low level thing that's in the background that's just kind of sitting there, and you compartmentalize it, you move on with your life, and then it just kind of pops up and surprises you in the most surprising way. You're like, I thought I'd fix that. And then you deal with it and you push it back down. It just stays there in the background. So that's how it was affecting me.
Beautiful. What came to me, I often use that an undertone, the thing that we don't resolve. It's just like a residual tone, and even in our talk. And then the other image came to me as you were talking, Cynthia. Those skeletons just fall off the thing during the Halloween.
It's like the Jack in the Box. You keep turning, and then it just.
Beautiful. Thank you. Gabby, what was it for you?
For me, it was a childhood, adverse childhood experience. And so, just having some negative self-talk, and really not being able to pinpoint like the why behind it. And so, and for me, kind of going forward and kind of just addressing it, bringing it forward and kind of becoming more conscious of it, I think was very helpful. So definitely an adverse childhood experience that I have, dealt with most of my life. And so this course was very helpful.
So it was actually producing ongoing negative self-talk for you and impacting your self-confidence in a way. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And what was it for you, Lisa? How that adversity was impacting you?
Yeah, so similar to Cynthia, I came into the program not realizing that I had to select my own adversity to work through the program. And so randomly, I had selected 2 love interest situations where I felt like I had been abandoned. And, as I worked through that, what I realized, I had taken the perspective for years now that I really abandoned the idea of finding love, because I felt like these 2 relationships were healthy relationships. And if I can't even have a healthy relationship without it going sour, then, what's the point, right? Yeah, so that was my focus. And so I realized I really had kind of put on the shelf and I had abandoned the idea of being in love because I had been abandoned, which is very ironic. So yeah, again, I randomly selected that. As we went through the program, it uncovered a lot for me. After the program, and I know I hadn't told you ladies yet, funny enough, I was cleaning some paperwork that I tend to write a lot of random notes in places. At the beginning of this year, I wrote an intention that I need to work through this abandonment issue that I have with these two love interests. And here I was thinking I was randomly picking something, right? Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, the universe found us and brought it together with that intention. Wonderful. And so how then the adversity was impacting you, almost muting one big part of your self-expression, that to exchange of love. Yeah. Thank you for that. And Natalie, what was that for you?
Well, when I came to that workshop, I picked a kind of adversity or a story that, like in Cynthia's life, it has been with me for decades. And I thought, and I kind of felt very proud of myself, kind of that I worked through this. So I came to, yes, I worked through it. And you, Tijen, said, nope, 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 nope. You're still there. And, but that was the thing that it turns out not to be the story. It was very different. So the whole workshop turned things upside down for me. It's not the story. There is many other stories, and it's just a different relationship to it. So I grateful for that experience because, and I'm grateful for Tijen for your persistence, just pushing me to look at this again, look from the different angle, So I become more humble in a way that there's many dimensions to my story. It's not only me telling that story. They are players and they have their own stories. So it was a kind of a revelation in many ways. So
thank you for sharing that. So to me, how was it that then the adversity was impacting your life before the workshop?
Yeah, because I felt like I've been carrying this with me because that story defines me, and the way challenges that I'm experiencing were a result of that story. That's why I decided to explore it.
Yeah.
And it turns completely upside down.
So that was in a way resulting a loss of power and the way you function.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because it was the kind of feeling of victim being a result, not because of whatever I was going through.
Yeah, thank you. So then you already shared some of it, but let's have a little bit more dialogue on that. What have you discovered during this workshop about the adversity that you brought in and how it was affecting you, Lisa?
Yeah, for me, really, towards the end of the program, what I really discovered is that, we all have choices, right? We have choices to stay, we have choices to leave. Each of us creates our own story, and defines what that is. And not only had I been, and I'm going to say my perception, abandoned by several love interests, but the fact of the matter is that I also had done that same thing to other people that were really interested in me, right? And so at the end of the day, this is really just, for me, it was really about the awakening to the fact that we all have choices in this life. We all have the story that we create. And at the end of the day, there's beauty in identifying that you have a loss, going through the stages of that loss. But I found a lot of solace in really being grateful for those relationships during the time that they occurred and however they ended, but the experiences were beautiful nonetheless.
Beautiful. So I'm sensing that discovery is about the perspective of others and arriving at a place of compassion and deeper understanding, it seems like, for you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. And Natalie, what were your discoveries about what you brought to the workshop?
I think the main discovery is that I think it came on our third session, that it's very nuanced. It's I choose the interpretation of that stories. And there are people in it, and they have their own interpretation of that. And it opened me to remember different situations. So in other way, that experience helped me to see from different angles, maybe from the angles of people in that story. And then the next following thought was, I can choose what I believe. It's not only me suffering, it's maybe someone else. And it's a very complex, I am empowered to give the interpretation. And it helped me to actually open up and invoke different memories that kind of supporting different versions of that. So it is a multiverse of stories. It's not only my story. And the second, I think the biggest discovery was that whatever experience we go through, it's like a good, bad, and ugly. It's more appreciation of them instead of accepting, right? When you understand that there is a multiverse and interpretation of that, you become appreciative of that because it gives you variety and richness, right? So so how it helped me, like I said in the beginning, I was like a result, I was a victim, I was all of this poor thing, but then thank you for that experience. It was quite powerful feeling. Yes, I appreciate, and I truly appreciate what you said, do not accept, appreciate. Acceptance is really the kind of difficult word. Appreciation of that experience. So those kind of two things for me.
Beautiful. Yeah. So what I'm hearing there for you really was choices became available, and also your locked point of view freed you, the anchors lifted, that you could actually see many other versions and possibilities. And not only the stories, but also, as I say, the fifth step is to arriving at your superpower, making those adversities, and before your view was victimized by them, and now you're talking about, oh, I can actually be empowered and utilize that in a different way. Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, Natalie. And Cynthia, what were your discoveries in the
there were a lot of discoveries. And during the class, I talked about this, but it's like I'd been carrying this big bag of rocks over my shoulder. And then during the class, I had to stop and open the bag and look inside. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not a bag of rocks, it's a bag of diamonds. And all of a sudden, it's like it shifted everything for me to where it's no longer this story of, oh, poor me. It's more of this, look what I learned and look what how I've benefited from this experience. So it's very much an enriching kind of, wow, I'm so lucky.
Beautiful. Again, the appreciation is showing up. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. And Gabby, what was it for you, the discovery?
Similar to Cynthia, there was quite a bit that I learned, but I think most important that stands out for me is really discovering that I'm not my story, and also being able to detach myself for my narrative. You know, you often hear a lot about narrative, write your own narrative. And I never really quite understood what that meant. I'm like, what the heck does that mean, really? What's rewriting your narrative? So, but in this course, I really was able to rewrite my narrative. And similar to what Natalie was mentioning, something about how I really identified with being a victim. And then similar to Cynthia's metaphor, I felt like I was carrying these really heavy chains with me, constantly very heavy, not sure what to do with them. So definitely was able to shift my perspective and feel a great deal of empowerment. And I feel like that's my superpower, really embracing the darkness of my story and also the light, and being really in harmony with that.
Yeah, that makes me think about this. Thank you, Gabby, that we talk about discrimination, external experiences of that, but we don't talk about our discrimination and one-sidedness about our experiences. We're so focused, everything has to be good, everything has to be positive, everything has to be this. And then we disown the adversities really actually brought us into resilient part of us, right? That through that we change, through that we evolve, and absolutely, so that we come to a place of empowered self. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Gabby. So I'm curious that what has changed for you since the workshop? That what happened to those undertones, that the closet skeletons? Yeah, why don't we start with you, Natalie?
Well, I think I have many more skeletons. That's in the closet. I have to say that they jump in at me periodically, and every time I feel that, yes, I got it, right? I don't feel anymore. Sure enough, there's another one coming, or the old one. That's another one. So yes, I think it's a lifelong process. What you gave us, Tijan, is that these 5 steps, and when we look at our kind of situation or experience through those 5 steps, that's a kind of a roadmap for us to not to fight, but kind of not be scared of those skeletons. But I would say that I'm still processing. Even my old stories, even though I kind of felt much more relieved from that, these undertones are still there and they haunt me. But knowing that I can be more aware and notice that. If I feel or emotions, I can really say, if I can catch it on time, where it's coming from. And then I have that roadmap, right? That's how I see that. That's what you gave us, a tool, you gave us that power, which is kind of priceless.
Beautiful, thank you. So that those undertones and skeletons don't hijack the plane anymore. You just see them there in action.
Right. Maybe I'm not scared of them anymore. If you see them, it's more scary when somebody comes to behind. But if you see it up front, it's already not so scary, right?
Exactly. The awareness.
But still, skeleton is scary.
Yeah, it is, but it could also be funny at some point, right? When we look at enough of them. Yeah, thank you, Natalie. And what about you, Cynthia? How is that? What has changed for you about this adversity?
Yeah, a number of things have changed for me. Number one, and to your point, Natalie, it's like these whole dark places, I'm not so afraid of them anymore because I went there and nobody died, nothing horrible happened. And all of a sudden you go up and down and then you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. So that was a big change for me. It's also shifted my relationship with my sister. whenever we were together, it was, because we both went through the experience together. There was always this just, it was just not very easy. And I just recently had a visit with her where we just had the most wonderful time together, and it was just easy and fun. And we're actually going to work together to write a book about our experiences together. I mean, it may never be published, but just having that time together to create something out of this is going to be great fun. So that's changed for me. There's just more of an ease around it and an appreciation of the people involved, where there's none of that resentment. Is just there's still a little bit of it, but it's not anywhere near what it used to be. So it's just there's an ease about everything for me now.
Beautiful. Thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, sometimes that when we don't come to a resilient place, especially as Cynthia was sharing that people we moved adversity together with, whether we feel like we are victimized by them or we victimize together, or we are the one that abused them, or whatever it is, that it's like walking around with highly inflamed system, that even somebody try to squeeze around you, they are going to touch and it's going to hurt, right? Then the relationships gets to be very challenging. And I'm glad that inflammation, we did a root canal and they are gone. Thank you, Cynthia. And what's changed for you, Gabby, around this adversity?
So as I mentioned prior to the last question, is I feel like the chains I have been just released of this heavy chains of shame and guilt that I was feeling, and I was also able to develop compassion towards those characters in my narrative. Therefore, turning to me as self-love, right? So I just feel a great sense of ease, more comfortable. It wasn't an easy process, but I feel like putting myself there and really discovering and being curious and being present really helped me just to appreciate myself and everything that I've been able to learn, and then also those characters that were in my story, also loving them and therefore loving myself.
Beautiful. Yeah. And when we get, I found it at least that when we come to a deeper level of understanding, which I call it comprehension, it's in a way like you comprehend, which is like more than an analytical thinking, but embodiment of like, oh, it clicks, the Lego pieces click. When we arrive there, right, that there is that much more grace and ease at the heart and true compassion. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Gabby. And what about for you, Lisa? What has changed?
Yeah, just the simple awareness of choice on my part and choice on others' parts has created a real empowerment for me, right? That again, it's more the awareness of choice, right? So I feel stronger in that. I feel lighter. I feel more open. I don't feel restricted to the possibilities like I did before.
Beautiful. Yeah, that the freedom of choice, right? As the movie said, lightness of being, unbearable lightness of being.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also the understanding that that when there is loss, regardless of what type of loss, to really go through those stages. That was part of the work that I was doing even after the courses. And I think I had mentioned it. I am kind of house cleaning right now, which is like all boxes and all materials and all, letters and this and that, and really kind of going through that and looking at those things with a completely different perspective and being in gratitude for those experiences. Yeah, is very freeing.
What a beautiful thing to share. Thank you. So that the no closet is going to fall off.
No more hiding Jack in the boxes.
Oh, beautiful. So I mean, you're familiar with my teaching methodologies, but the audience isn't, and maybe it is better for me to explain a little bit. I often use different techniques, different approaches for different learners. So in this case, there was a shared space. There was deepening practices. There were supporting music, the guided meditations, the group coaching, and then of course that the environment sharing within a group coaching, the shared sacred space with people going through similar experiences. I'm wondering how were they supportive of your change, your learning, and your processing? Let's start with you, Gabby.
All your methods really helped me really integrate all my learning. So as you mentioned, being together, having that energy, really supportive energy, and having compassion to one another, listening to each other's stories was just really empowering to me. I really, really enjoyed that. And then you being the mediator and supporting us during the process was phenomenal. So I really enjoyed it. The meditations were also very helpful, really helped me to relax, feel at ease during the process because it was not easy. And then two, the writing assignments, the deepening, really at times, Tijan, I remember I would sit in front of my computer and I would have everything ready and I didn't want to write but I told myself, I'm gonna get through this. So while I really liked at the end when I was done with the assignments, at the beginning I didn't quite like them, but they were really helpful because they really helped me to really understand what I was doing and really see myself. Even going back now to them, I could read them and I could see them like, wow, this is where I've come so far, right from the beginning of the course to the end of the course. So I think you giving us all those different ways of being able to capture the information is very, very helpful. So I don't know, I really enjoyed the course, even though it was kind of challenging at times, but at the end, it gave me so much peace.
Thank you, Gabby, for sharing all that. So it seems like it spoke to your learning styles in different ways and gave you courage to write. Beautiful, yes. And Natalie, what do you want us to know about those?
I just like during the workshop, I felt like whatever people say, I would say. It's kind of you really everyone speaks or tells these bits of pieces of truth that inside of me. And so it's very interesting. So what Gab just said is very much the same for me. I think being in that environment was very, very helpful, right? Your comments and feedback to hear that in relationship to the stories, even though we didn't hear the full stories, it was just about the stories, also was very helpful. The writing exercise, I probably agree with. It was the most difficult, but at the end, it was most rewarding experience. So yeah, so those kind of being here, the group coaching, writing exercise, I would never ever put myself through this if it was not workshop. So, and I'm not a writer, my goodness. So that was challenging, but it was very rewarding. It really opens up, and I became appreciative to the fact that when you write a story, but then you write from the different perspective and then try to find a different perspective, it's not like a writing challenge. It really serves the purpose for you to forces you to look at your own story from various angles. So that was tough, but it was rewarding.
Thank you, Natalie. I just want to speak a little bit in the technical terms, right? That deepening practice that every one of you are talking about is really, I was working with you offline to reestablish a new neural pathway. And that whatever that more we tell the story the same way, it turns into a neural highway. And that's what we were doing, the breaking the pattern and pretty much every one of you said it's still there. I hear the undertone. Yeah, it's eventually gonna be deserted pathway. We won't be deleting it. Will still be there as a possibility. But this is where now you all are seeing the choice. So that's the technical coaching term, but thank you, Natalie. And Lisa, what would you like to say about the different learning strategies?
Yeah, I'm on the same page. The digging deep really happened in the writing. As you know, I struggled with several of those topics, and it wasn't until we came to class and we really had those discussions and everyone was kind of sharing, and we worked through those weekly writings that it really started to kind of uncover, right? So it started to awaken these different possible stories, right? It wasn't just one story. It could be different perspectives of the same story, right? So the other thing that I love group sessions for that reason, that there's a lot of deep support. It's a very safe space. And people sharing their own unique stories and perspectives. Actually, there's a lot of light bulbs that go off, a lot of sharing, collaborative sharing that happens. And I really appreciate that.
Beautiful. Yeah. I often find that individual sessions are very helpful in their own way, and then the group sessions are very helpful in their own way because of that moving with a group of individuals, almost like beating the same heart and understanding, seeing somebody else, and that is very supportive for this kind of a deep work. Thank you, Lisa. And Cynthia, what do you want us to know about these learning tools?
I love this multifaceted approach because number one, it's like I know when I'm in a place, it's like I know how to give the right answer. And so this multifaceted approach is like a back door into, yeah, that's the answer you want to give people, but what's the real answer? And I didn't always know how to access that. So these other tools allowed me to kind of, oh, wait, this is going on. Oh, wow, I didn't realize that was going on, because I'm very good at giving the right answer. So that was super helpful, the multifaceted approach where we were writing and we're drawing and I'm like, oh, wait, it allowed me to tap into parts of myself that I had very conveniently compartmentalized and put away. And put into a closet and lock the door and duct tape the door, and Tijen shows up and she's ripping open the door. And so that was really helpful. And then being in a group was so helpful because I think these experiences can be pretty intense if it's one-on-one, and allowing us to be in a group where we could watch each other, we're experiencing, and we're watching all of us kind of walk through these at our own pace, allowed all of us to take our time and to process things in our own way. And you were very good about allowing people to take the time that they needed to go through what they were going to go through. It wasn't like we all have to be on step 3 today. No, it was very much, we went through at our own pace. And so, because processing this, whatever event, takes time, and to have that luxury of time to think about it, to talk about it, and to know that we're supported along the way was super helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, and it was also moving for me, right? Every coaching session is transformational for me. At the same time, looking at all that you were sharing in the shared space, your arts and stories of whatever you felt comfortable of sharing, that was beautiful to see, and how you also supported one another there. It was lovely, not only during the group coaching sessions that we were together, but also offline through the virtual shared space was, yeah, beautiful. And what would you like our audience to know about your overall experience? You've shared gracefully quite a bit. Even if you just give us a one word, that still will be all right. But whatever you like the audience to know, that will be helpful. And let's start with you, Cynthia.
So I think what I would like the audience to know is that if you've got an issue that you think you've dealt with and it's, it's still kind of there, but you think you've dealt with it, I think this is the perfect place to bring it back up, because we're so good at putting these things away and you don't realize how much it affects you because you've kind of been resilient. You've grown to, you've kind of been carrying this bag until you're so used to the weight that you don't think about it anymore, but it's still there. And so this brings this new level of energy, this new level of wholeness that I'm like, oh, this is pretty neat. So I would recommend it for that reason.
Beautiful. So that the return of the energy, right?
Yeah.
Not being weighed down with the victim role. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Lisa?
Yeah, so two words really come to mind, empowerment and liberation. I feel the program and your support, Tijan, is, this program really digs deeper than I really expected to go. And through that really uncovers those things that have been hiding for a long time. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. And Natalie, what would you like audience to know about your overall experience?
I think I just going to piggyback on what Cynthia and Lisa said, because I didn't know what to expect, and I went to the program from curiosity, and but it turns out to be very different, and the results were quite different. I think the learning, the tools that you can have from that workshop can really be helpful lifelong. That to me is the most important. And of course, come to, even though I definitely kind of second what Cynthia said, even if you feel that, if you feel even that you worked out through your through your issues like I did, but it realized that, like Cynthia said, has a bag of rocks, but it's far away. What I've learned, another metaphor is, and I'm kind of using this, it is, I think Tijan said, it's like a book. So our life is a book, and this is acknowledgement of all of these experiences that we go through. So it's definitely the tools and appreciation of those experiences, not putting them away and with a duct tape somewhere and feel that, yeah, okay, I'm done, I'm over, I'm free. No. So that is, I think it's a very good experience.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Natalie. It makes me think that when we disown our experiences, right, we also disown that part that moves through that. So that's in a way is welcoming us back home, returning home. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Natalie.
Back home, yes.
Yeah. And Gabby, for you?
For me, I think it was definitely transformational. And I kind of look at it this way, where I feel like I got 2-for-1 deal here, where I worked on myself. Therefore, as a coach, I'm going to definitely have more tools to work with my clients. So I think it's transformational. I encourage those to, they want to look deeper, and what resilience is about. This is an opportunity to look at and give themselves a chance to move forward.
Beautiful. Thank you for that perspective, Gabby. So how do you think that this transformation impacted your coaching and your presence with your clients?
I think for me, it really helps me be able to kind of look at my client if I'm working with them, maybe who they identify, or they identify themselves as a victim. And if so, what narrative are they telling themselves? And in fact, empowering them and helping them, supporting them to maybe having a new perspective or even rewriting their narrative, right? Kind of develop those new neural pathways. And I just feel like the more I guess I work on myself, the more I can identify those maybe different things in my clients. So I think it's just transformational. It's like it's such a good deal, right? 2-for-1, you work on yourself and then you're able to help your clients as well.
Yeah.
So we're trying to explore those narratives and seeing if they are still valid right now. So that narrative is still something that they continue to keep, or maybe consider, a different view or different perspective.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, because as you change, every life that you will be touching is going to be impacted by that. So yeah, beautiful. So thank you so much, ladies, for participating. Before we complete, I like you to share that if the audience is interested in finding you, and as you, the coaches, how will they find you? So Lisa, let's start with you.
Yeah, you can find me on thrivingbasics.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And Natalie?
I have a website. It goes natalievinacourt.com, which is currently I'm very much rewriting and rebuilding, but anyone who wants to connect with me can really go on the natalie.vinacourt@gmail.com. So that's email for now until my website is up and running again.
Thank you, Natalie. And Gabby, for you?
I'm on Instagram. My name is Gabriela Zavala Coaching. And if anybody needs support, let me know.
Thank you, Gabby. And Cynthia?
So I have a website. It's Cynthia Late, LAIT.com. And I'm also on Instagram, Cynthia Late, LAIT.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you for being here. And what I like to say to the audience that you will find some videos explaining this 5 steps, Jenko Method 5 Steps to Resilience in YouTube at Jenko Coaching. And hopefully that you can find them also helpful. And then you can also check out my website, jenkocoaching.com, under upcoming events to see when this event will be hosted again. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much for being my companion today. Thank you so much for coming to the workshop, and it's lovely being with you. Take good care for now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Bye-bye, everyone.